What's going on, Soul Nation, and welcome to another No Rest for the Wicked video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel here, and today we're going to be talking about all the latest news and updates. And yes, I can confirm that I have seen some behind the scenes footage of the upcoming update. We're going to talk about all of that, as well as get into the weeds as Carol goes into the technical nitty gritty, and we'll do that later in this video. And as we always do, we're going to wrap up with our message of hope. But I'm going to take a slight pivot right here at the start of this video, because I've been asked, what are my thoughts regarding Final Fantasy XIV Mobile? And if you guys haven't seen, Square Enix has announced the Final Fantasy XIV MMORPG is coming to mobile as developed by Lightspeed Studios. So this feels like it's a completely different version. I know there's speculation on what this truly means for the game, but I'm sure we're going to learn more about that with time. Now, if you guys also don't know, I have stepped away from Final Fantasy XIV as a content creator, and it's been 2 years, and I have some great news to share. I have managed to lower my obesity from a 43 to a 32, and I'm so close to no longer being obese. That roughly equates to 80 pounds down, and we're still got a little bit more jiggle to get rid of, and so we're going to keep plugging away. But that's a fun little update. And the question back to Titus asking, what do I think about this? This is interesting. And for me, I tell you, it just makes sense when we look at just how successful mobile can be. However, the Final Fantasy XI player in me, the Final Fantasy XI remake mobile, whatever, that got canceled many years ago, I really wish Square Enix would do something with that game. And so all the things that they do, even that they've brought in the Final Fantasy XI raid into Dawntrail, which I am not going to play until I finish my weight loss goal of being under 210 pounds. So we're still making our progress. It's just unfortunately gotten really slow since we lost the original like 70 pounds. So, whew, all right, you know, we're going to fight for every inch, you know, in this journey. But yeah, like seeing this makes me like go, okay, but why not 11 as well? And my hope, my dream, because they even put out a survey about Final Fantasy XI, which if you guys haven't seen, I went and kind of played around with. In fact, I did this live on stream, and if you guys like live stream content, check out Ginger Prime TV, whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, X, it's all the platform, wherever you like to consume your content. And that's where I'm going to be, and that's where the home of all future live streams will be. And if you guys check that out, we got react content, we got gameplay, we have discussions. Hopefully you guys consider subscribing over there as well. But I filled out the form for Final Fantasy XI, and there was definitely a lot of feedback that I had. And my hope, my dream would be ultimately that they decide to remake 11 while bringing in just a little bit of a quality of a life, getting rid of play online, while at the same time retaining what makes 11 special, combining the various subs all in the same launcher. I think that's how Square Enix could get me to subscribe back to their games once more. But that is going to be a topic for another day, and chances are we'll cover that over on the MMORPG channel here as well. But let's dive in, because Thomas is sharing out the news that he gave me a little bit of a sneak peek of the upcoming update. So that's what it's going to be, and we're going to be talking the rest of this video about it. If you feel like these videos earn your support, hit that subscribe button wherever it might be on the page and let me know if you find it. That way I can officially welcome you to the channel, just like Gray Fox and KT Eden. So welcome in, guys. Okay, first and foremost, yes, I have seen the this incredible trailer for the upcoming update, and I tell you, it is great. Like, it is so exciting. For those of you who've been frustrated and on the fence, I tell you now, like, this is going to help solve some of those problems. Not going to solve everything, because they also talked about how the multiplayer update might not make it day and date with this Breach update, and I think that's okay, as long as we're not talking about another, you know, 4 to 6 months between that. And that's not what they're getting at. It sounds like they are very close, and in order to have as smooth of a launch with multiplayer as possible, it might miss the launch date. But why all of the delays? Well, outside of talking with Thomas and seeing the trailer, I've got other sources and little whispers of things like going on, and I can share this with you guys now. is that with Private Division getting sold off, they got bought up by a private equity firm. What this meant was Moon Studios had to go and buy the publishing rights back from this new private equity firm. They have done that. And now it's kind of like a little bit of a waiting game. Obviously, they're using this time to their best advantage to make this update as best as they can, as filling as they can. And we're going to go through a lot of the weapons and some of the new teases that Thomas has shown off here in this video. But that ends up being kind of a thing where when it comes to marketing and releasing the game, they want to make sure that any time, like until the official, I guess, transition date contractually happens, Private Division still gets a portion of the sales. That will shift to 100% Moon Studios once that is done and completed. So that's, I think, really good news for us who's fans of this game and the studio, them going more independent and them having the funds. And so when it comes down to encouraging you to buy the game, if you're asking about it, I would wait till the update happens, so that way you know that 100% of every dollar you spent outside of the platform fee is going to Moon and thus supporting this game. So now you know that's the information, and I think that's something kind of a critical component. But we've still got so much more to cover in this video. Let's go into the questions and answers, as well as the upcoming weapons and new weapons being added. Mixtape asks, also, while you're here, will there be a possibility of getting some more hairstyles or other character customization options sometime in the future? And Thomas confirms, yes, more towards 1.0. It's not the most important item, but it is on their list. Snaz Blaster writes, now, fist weapons, are they going to be in the next update for real this time? Thomas says, could still be. I'll have to work on it some more. Not a hard confirm, not a denial. So there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Toast says, any chance for a really big fist weapons? And Thomas says, it's still on the wish list. And then goes to highlight some various different fist weapons, from claws to various different knuckles. And then takes a pivot and going into like a serrated, rusted kind of mauler axe. With a long staff, as well as the short hand variant, maybe a two-handed and a one-handed variant of those weapons. Pretty cool, if you ask me. Also then highlighting various things like orbs and pipes. They've talked about this already in the past, but highlighting a couple of different things that the player can have. Also talking and reminding everybody, like, the pipes will have positive and negative benefits, like you puff them to gain some focus, but that's going to cost you a little bit of health. I think that ends up making almost sense. And speaking of magic, another round of various different staves or stabs, whatever you want to call it in this case, is listed there. And going on to continue to remind us that they have bow guns and as offhands and crossbows as two-handers as well. Now, HXH asks, Thomas, did you think when the game is out of early access, the price is up, or is it going to stay the same? And Thomas does confirm it is going to be a full price game when it leaves early access. And then just going on to remind us that if you own early access, you already own the game. So you're not going to have to purchase the game again unless you want to play it on another platform, because if you guys don't know the news, crossplay, cross save, that is what's being baked into this game. So you buy it, you have it, and you're good to go. That also kind of plays into the multiplayer and having a Moon account as well. So all of that is moving on behind the scenes. Toast asks, are you guys also going to have physical copies of this game? And Thomas says yes, he wants to see and wants to go to the store to buy Wicked. So for those of you out there, that I guess maybe 20% or 10% who still buy physical games, good news. You're going to be able to buy this as a physical game as well. Thomas then goes on to show and highlight various different monster graphics. This one more of a concept art, then going into a rat with a bomb on its back. That looks like it's more in game. Yeah, that's what it is going to be. And maybe that's painted. I don't know. You guys can tell me. This looks more finished than obviously what we were seeing up here in the first one. But then it isn't all just weapons and art assets here. Carol goes on to talk about the engine, multiplayer, and more. And so for those of us who like to dive in the weeds and geek out a little bit about how this is being built, I think he shares some interesting insight. And as a developer, I can really resonate with it, and it actually helps me understand their process just a little bit better. Carol writes, we built our own engine on top of Quantum, our own physics, AI, etc., etc. That's the hard part. Once it's built, this is actually one of the easiest ways to make and scale a multiplayer game. First 4 years are hard, then it gets easy peasy. Morthgath writes, hello, could you give us a short explanation about Quantum? It sounds really interesting, if you have the time, of course. Carol says, we will do a deep dive in due time, but basically we partner with Exit Games and figured out a way to scale the fight game netcode for a full-blown 3D world. The biggest benefit will be in PvP, but then when we have friendly fire and co-op, in a way that you will have a bit of PvP and co-op as well. So not having the usual network glitches and clean collisions and no lag in combat is a big deal. Going on to say, the way the netcode is built, it allows for us for having virtually no perceived lag. Not all systems are taking full advantage of that capacity though. For instance, enemy deaths are slightly delayed in multiplayer, and I personally really don't like that. I like it when it feels snappy and responsive, so we will gradually make sure that all game systems take full advantage of the predictive rollback simulation, and that everything feels instant, as if it is not running online. The other thing that we've talked about at launch is separating simulation from presentation, allowing us to get constant input latency across any frame rate. So if it feels like the game dips in frame rate or you're playing on a weaker device sub 60, then you'll still have a very responsive game. Even if you're playing at 30 frames per second, it won't feel like a 30 frames per second game. Input will be much more responsive. Now, Morgath follows this up with another question saying, that really sounds insane. No lag is like another world. I really hope that the tech could deliver further and applied to the game. I've been playing WoW for 20 years now, but I am not from the USA, so I'm always playing at 130 to 150 latency. Carol responds, I really do think that once we have it released, it's going to be a very impressive showcase. This is where being able to build this over so many years on a completely new foundation from scratch, building an engine for this game will really pay off. Not many team studios take such a risk and have such a long-term horizon with technical investments. It is very scary for any tech director, and that is mostly why we see the reuse of existing netcode approaches. I believe we will be able to make a dent here. Going on to say, I'm sure that we're going to have our share of netcode related quirks to iron out, but the foundation is basically quantum leap from the other approaches would allow us to do. And yes, pun intended. Carol finally follows up with a few more messages, says it will be using a relay server, very lightweight. And then when asked, will players be able to make their own servers, even if they're not as good as the official ones? Carol says, not really. I don't believe that there's going to be self-hosting, at least at first, but I also don't immediately see a need for it. We will support many different features and realm modes. With the way that the netcode works, there is no real meaning behind custom server because there isn't a server per se. All you have is a relay server that helps different clients communicate and share information, but the relay server does not hold any actual realm data. The data only exists on the clients and then simulated deterministically, making sure all clients have exactly the same world state. That's why it is a very tricky system to build, and you need all of your game logic to 100% deterministic on any machine with any performance characteristics. And since we want crossplay, it will work across different consoles as well. And I have to say, this has some really freaking cool information, namely the weapons, but also what I've been able to see. And I know that it sucks that you guys haven't seen it yet, but it's going to be well worth the wait. I can't wait to be able to sit down and watch it with you when it officially releases. So if you guys like that, if you like gameplay and hanging out, yeah, again, I'm going to just tell you about Ginger Prime TV, as it just makes sense being that I have a few channels, just to have a channel that is focusing in on live stream content and react content. Anyway, as we like to do with our videos, is wrap up with the message of hope. This is really about taking care of yourself. I truly believe your mental health and your physical health are directly linked. I also add in the spiritual health. As a Christian, it is something that's very important. And there's a lot of wisdom, I think, to be found, even if you're secular, even if you're not somebody who believes in God or in Jesus, that you will find a lot of value and wisdom in scriptures. But I know that's not necessarily for everyone. So I want to focus in on one specific topic today, and it's when life kind of kicks you when you're down. This is kind of a guarantee. And the reason I want to talk about this is that with like the ongoing Gamergate, with the various different, industry and contractions, the world can feel out of control. It can feel like you have no real impact on what is going on. And I want to push back against that narrative. You can control how you react. You can control yourself in the situation. And really what it is about is building up a plan for success and being radically curious about your own physicality. Now, not that all mental health issues are directly linked to physicalness, but being able to get enough vitamin D and sun and exercise. Some common advice that you'll hear me if you watch multiple videos, continuing to hit these 3 points as a point of reference for your mental health. Make your bed, take a shower, and brush your teeth. These are 3 things that you can do that are so basic that it's hard, especially when you're depressed, and Lord knows depression feels like you're kind of like landlocked or chained down, and it's hard to get up. But if you find that you're able to do some of these small things, and those are 3 examples, you can just pick, sit up, like if you can't get out of bed, just sit up for a minute, like pick a goal and then something that you can do, and then do it. And you'll find that helps as a way of rewiring your brain and your dopamine responders. There's a lot of factors going on in here. And obviously I'm not trying to individually counsel you. And I would always encourage you to, especially if you're having really dark thoughts, seek help and seek counseling, not just from a professional, but also from your friend group, support group, from the people in your life, because I guarantee you they'd rather hear your story than attend your funeral. And I really want you to survive and choose to be alive, because the world is a better place with you in it, hands down. But pick some goals that you can do. The 3 things that I listed are just ways to help start the engine, because you'll find that success leads to success. And yes, the world's going to pile on you. There's going to be setback, but get back up on the horse. Keep getting up to bat and never give up on yourself. Sometimes it might feel, and it's perfectly fine to be like, you know what, today I'm just gonna watch a movie. Like that's a perfectly fine response. Just don't make that the be all end all. Don't make that the reason why you get up in the morning. Figure out something, find a North Star, and start making incremental changes to move yourself down that line, and it will pay off. For me, it took 10 years to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And I've shared that before. We can go into it in future videos and live streams. But it took a lot of curiosity, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of self-hate, because for me, I was like, why can't I do this? Why am I struggling so much to lose weight? Why am I struggling so much with this anxiety? Where did this all come from? Is this the way that it's going to be forever? I refused to give up on myself, even with dark thoughts. I refused to quit and give into it. And eventually we found the answers. I hope that your answers come much sooner than 10 years. But I can guarantee you I'm really happy for those 10 years now, because I'm a survivor, and so are you. I want you to choose to survive, whatever it takes, whether it's therapy, physicality, spirituality, your friend group, all of the above. Get it. Go get it. You got it, man. I'm rooting for you. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. Hopefully somebody got something good out of the video and or out of the message of hope. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk with you guys today about these things that I'm most passionate about. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care.